Imagine a man from a very poor family in a coal mining town. He marries his high school sweetheart, a beautiful girl from a wealthy family. Her dad is a senator. They start their new life together with just $50 and a car they borrowed. They're heading to the southern states to visit family for their honeymoon. But they're not alone. The man's mother comes along for the ride, sitting in the back seat of the car. After some time, things start to look up for the young couple. They find a small apartment on the top floor of a building near the railroad tracks. It's a bit cramped and noisy at times, but they're thrilled to have their first place together. He works the night shift and attends college to make a better life for his family. His wife is almost 21 and pregnant, and he wants to give her everything. He wants her to stay home with their baby, wear nice clothes, and eat well. So, he sacrifices sleep, studies hard, and works tirelessly in a factory where he gets blisters from bending metal trays. He promises himself that he will never go back to living in poverty again. Never. He starts to feel hopeful, with just enough money to make his dreams a reality. His eyes shine with excitement, and his dreams for a better future seem within reach. After all, he's already been at rock bottom. Growing up poor in a poor town in Appalachia, he figures things can only get better from here. They make it through the tough times. He uses a small desk his mother gave him, the same one he did his homework on as a kid, to stay organized. He tucks away his weekly pay of $30 into separate slots for each bill: water, rent, electricity, food, gas, and insurance. He clips the dollar bills to the invoices for each category. It's all taken care of, and he even has a little extra to prepare for the arrival of their second baby, who's due soon, a little teddy bear on the way. It's 1966, and baby number 3 is on the way. He's got his college degree and has moved on from factory work to better office jobs. He's now eyeing a charming little bungalow in a nice part of town with plenty of space for his growing family, including his mother-in-law, who's recently divorced and needs a place to stay. Things are going great. He's finally feeling secure and happy after years of hard work and dedication. All his small successes have added up, and he's now enjoying a comfortable life in suburban Southern America. What a relief. On Friday, he heads to a small office party to welcome some new team members, feeling confident and secure in his role. He's no longer the new guy. He's a trusted employee in the accounting department. He can finally relax and enjoy himself, thinking about how his high school math teachers would be proud of him. He used to hate school and barely passed his classes without studying, despite his teachers saying he had a talent for numbers. Look at him now, they'd say, beaming with pride. He's the youngest accounting supervisor in the company's history, and he can't help but chuckle at how far he's come. As he walks around the bar, grabbing some peanuts, he wonders what to drink: beer, liquor, or both. He remembers the old saying, beer before liquor, never sicker, and decides to play it safe by sticking with beer. He smiles, feeling grateful that his company knows how to take care of its employees. Events like this welcome reception are a great way to show appreciation and make everyone feel valued. A few hours pass, and he's enjoyed many handfuls of nuts and several beers. Then he sees Jack, the company president, mingling with the guests. As Jack approaches him, he thinks it's a good opportunity to discuss their latest project. However, just as he's getting into the conversation, Jack interrupts him abruptly and starts talking about his own upcoming family trip to Europe. He thinks to himself, who cares about Jack's trip? He feels annoyed and disrespected. Doesn't Jack realize that many families in the room can only dream of taking a trip like that? And to make matters worse, Jack interrupted him to talk about himself. All the stories he's heard about Jack being arrogant and self-centered come flooding back. He can't help but think, HMP, what a selfish guy. He decides to speak his mind and lets Jack have it, holding nothing back. He tells Jack off, using strong language, and even goes so far as to gesture with his middle finger, making it clear exactly what he thinks. Then he storms off, leaving everyone in shock and stunned silence. Despite being heavily intoxicated, he immediately realized he had gone too far. He spent the weekend at home, feeling sick to his stomach and trying to come up with a plan to fix the situation, but his mind was a blank. He couldn't think of a way to recover from his mistake. When he opened the door, Jack looked up from his desk, scowling at him with a fierce expression, his eyes glaring over the rim of his glasses with intense dislike. He felt a surge of fear and wanted to disappear. But then, Jack suddenly burst into his characteristic laugh, a gravelly, almost cackling sound that was unmistakable. He couldn't understand why Jack was laughing. Jack walked over to him, his hand raised as if to strike, but instead he gave him a firm pat on the back. "You're a brave son of a gun," John Jack said, his voice filled with unexpected praise. "I'm surprised you'd show up here after what happened," Jack said, "but I'm impressed that you're brave enough to apologize. You're already making a name for yourself in accounting, and I like that you're not afraid to take risks. I think you've got what it takes to be a leader. I want to mentor you, make you my right-hand man. You've got potential, and I want to help you develop it." And with that, a 22-year business partnership began. Jack was a powerful man in town, someone who could make or break your career. It's now 1982, and Jack has asked my dad to be his business partner in a new venture. They start a highly successful company and begin building their new headquarters. Jack's son, Jack Jr., sets up a small office there to learn from his father. However, Jack Jr.'s office is anything but small scale. He sparingly decorates it with custom-built bookcases and cabinets made from rare, expensive mahogany. He spends $10,000 on the wood alone, having it harvested in Brazil and flown back to be crafted by a skilled carpenter. This extravagance foreshadows his future spending habits. 3 nights, 10:16 p.m. at TF Part 6. There's a little office party on Friday to welcome a new team, and he heads there feeling confident, secure in his place. At least he's not on the new team. He's a veteran employee proven to be quite reliable in the accounting department. Finally able to let loose a little, relax in his position, he chuckles to himself thinking how his high school math teachers would be so pleased. How he hated school and barely skated by without studying despite their pleading that he had a gift for numbers. "Look at him now," they'd say and pat themselves on the back. The youngest accounting supervisor in company history. By around 1985, the company Jack and my dad founded with a small team of 6 people is thriving and preparing to go public with an initial public offering IPO. As part of this process, he's tasked with gathering documents and verifying financial information. However, he discovers a small discrepancy that could have serious legal consequences, including jail time. He decides to leave the company, citing a desire to strike out on his own. Jack takes this decision personally and refuses to bid him farewell. The two former partners part ways acrimoniously, marking a sad end to a once glorious friendship and business partnership. In 1999, I was living at home temporarily, between jobs and before starting graduate school. My dad and I had some fun reading the newspaper together about one of the companies he co-founded with Jack in the 80s. It was making headlines because of a bidding war to buy it out. The initial offer was up to $60 million, but a new buyer emerged, driving the price even higher. By the end of the week, the company sold for a staggering $119 million. My dad put down the paper, looked at me, and said, "If I hadn't left the company, I'd be incredibly wealthy right now." 2 years later, in 2001, the phone rang unexpectedly. It was Jack, calling out of the blue after more than a decade of silence. Jack wanted to reconnect and ask about my dad's well-being. He also inquired about the company my dad had founded, which had recently sold. Jack had heard about the company's success and wanted to offer his congratulations. My dad was shocked, but delighted by the unexpected call from Jack. He sat on the porch, savoring the moment, smoking a cigar, and relishing the opportunity to reconnect with his old friend. It was a chance to recapture lost time and rekindle a meaningful relationship that had been dormant for far too long. As they talked, my dad discovered that Jack was struggling to make ends meet. Despite his pride, Jack inadvertently revealed some troubling details that my dad put together. It turned out that Jack was facing a heartbreaking dilemma choosing between buying medicine or food. His son, Jack Jr., had squandered the family's wealth and even drained the trust fund meant for Jack's future care, leaving him on the brink of homelessness. After the phone call, my dad was deeply troubled by Jack's situation and shared the news with our family. He was heartbroken to learn that his former friend and business partner was struggling to pay rent on his senior living condo at the age of 85. My parents decided to help and set up a fund to support Jack's care. They arranged for a monthly deposit into his account, but my dad took great care to keep the arrangement anonymous, ensuring that no one outside our family knew about their generosity. That's the end of the story for now. If I had more time, I could elaborate on the many intricacies and details that made this story so complex and interconnected especially during the 80s and 90s. I'm not a professional writer or storyteller, but I've lived a fascinating life, and occasionally, a memorable moment resurfaces. P.S. I corrected the typo about the honeymoon money from $5 to $50.